Welcome to the Great American Collectibles Show, heard Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m. Eastern on PSA.com and the PSA Facebook page. The Great American Collectibles Show is brought to you by PSA and the National Sports Collectors Convention. Tonight's headlines are brought to you by Sports Collectors Daily. For all of your hobby news, features, and more, visit sportscollectorsdaily.com. And now, your hosts, Tom Zappala and John Molori.
JM, how you doing, brother?
What's up, buddy? How are you?
JM, I got to tell you.
Yeah.
Well, by the way, to our viewers and listeners, JM is working remotely. I'm in Florida. He's up in Massachusetts. The studio. There's a blizzard going on, so you're working out of the house, JM, right?
I am. I could have made it out, but then I would have gotten cold, and Chrissy and Dave, they live much further away than I do, most likely, and they're in studio. So,
well, I got to tell you something.
I'm not in the mood to tough it out today.
Yeah, it's cold. It's actually quite cold down here. It just went down to 78. But other than that,
I feel for you, buddy. I do.
Yeah, some people have all the luck.
Before we bring Joe in, Joe Drelich, I love your retro wall. I love the paneling. Circa 61, 62?
I would say no. Actually, I think this actually went in like around 1980 something, late 80s. Yeah.
So that's by design then.
Yeah. But this is like a retro room. There's Frank and Dean right there. I've got all different kinds of pictures and little entertainment artifacts in the room. Collectibles, it fits. It's a collectible show, right?
Good for you. All right, listen, let's bring in Joe, and then I'll do the headline. Good friend, CSA, Philly, maybe some other shows down the road. Our good friend, Joe Drelich. How are you, Joe?
I'm doing well, fellas. How are you guys doing?
Hey, Joe.
John.
I like the fur. Like the moss.
Nice. Very nice.
Absolutely. Might change here soon, but definitely grew for the winter. Doing a little skiing, so keep the face warm.
Good for you.
Yeah.
All right, listen. Before we talk to Joe, our headline brought to us by our good friend Rich Miller and the great staff at Sports Collectors Daily. Collector Holdings and Veris Residential, Inc., owner of an office complex in Jersey City, New Jersey, have signed a long-term lease for approximately 130,000 square feet of office space there. The new facility is aimed at expanding PSA's authentication and grading services of trading cards, tickets, autographs, and other items. Collectors Holdings says PSA is Harborside 3 space. It'll serve as a robust, efficient grading operation, helping the company to expand and improve upon its authentication and grading services of trading cards, tickets, autographs, and more as quickly as possible. The East Coast location will also include administrative and executive offices and will serve as a complement to the company's longstanding headquarters in Santa Ana, California. If you want to read the rest of the article and get hobby news 24/7, just go to sportscollectorsdaily.com. That's pretty cool, huh? Don't you think it's great,
Well,
Joe?
you know what? You've talked about that for a while, Zap, about them having an East Coast physical presence, right? We talked about that going back months.
Now, Joe, is that going to help you? Does it help
Listen,
you guys at all?
I feel like I should applaud, because this is something that, us East Coasters have been, advocating for such a long time. And, granted, PSA has had an office here for, the autograph component where you could actually drop off trading cards. So it has been nice. It's in Woodbridge. I've been there many times. But yes, to circle back to your question, will it help us? Not really sure, from a trade show perspective, but from a hobby, which is what I truly care about, absolutely. No doubt about it. It's absolutely going to be a great thing.
So Joe Drelich is with us in a few minutes. We'll be bringing on John Taube, the Batman, PSA authenticator with he's got some good news regarding PSA. And then at the end, the last couple of minutes, we're going to bring in Ryan Greene. Ryan is the new IT guru and social media guy for PSA. And Ryan and our good friend Steve Sloan have a podcast that they've just started, a weekly podcast, 30 minutes, that we're going to be talking about. But, Joe, before we get into, what's some of the great stuff you're doing,
sure.
JM, myself, and Rico have been lobbying PSA to open up a grading facility right at Fenway Park, and we got nixed. I just disappointing, but that's okay. Jersey City is the next. I guess that's the next best location.
Sorry,
By the way,
yeah.
beautiful facility. All right, Joe, you've got all kinds of stuff going on. What shows are going on and when?
Sure. So, obviously right now we're heading into the home stretch here for the Philly show. That'll be coming up at the Valley Forge Casino next week, March 4th, 5th, and 6th. Again, it's a staple show 3 times a year for us. When I get to come on with you guys, I always like to say it's the oldest show in the country.
Yeah.
There's been a influx of many shows across the country, but nobody started in 1975. So the Philly show is the card show, and props to all the great things that are happening with trade shows, which is very exciting. We're taking the lead from some of the great new ideas that are being implemented by some of the new shows popping up all over the country. But yeah, we're excited about the complete sellout again. I think it's our 13th or 14th show in a row with a complete sellout. We've sold so much space that we've had to retransition our merchandise booth out into the lobby, as it was when you guys came down last.
Well, I'll tell you something, Joe. Honestly, we get on this show. There's a bunch of East Coast guys that absolutely love the Philly show. I mean, they all say next to the National, this is their favorite show. So that's a compliment to you.
It's a card show, man. It's an old school card show, and a lot of the new generation guys that are carrying the new product and the high end product have integrated in as well. We've made space for them as well, and it's been a nice blend. I've heard a lot of good compliments. That the new card guys, I think, were a little overwhelmed because of the vast amount of vintage there, but they've made their own niche, and they've grown the space that we've made available, and they've filled it. That whole new section of our show that we opened up has become newer card guys. So there's a really nice crossover of modern, vintage, and then the traditional, classic memorabilia that's there. John Taube, speaking of John's been a vendor at the Philly show for decades, and John's a great guy. I respect
Wonderful
John
guy. We love John. As a matter of fact, JM, hopefully if we get the invite, hint, we'd love to, John and I would love to go down again with Ellen. And actually, we were at the September show, right?
You came to the
King of Prussia,
September.
Right.
Joe, this is perfect timing because the new book will have been launched.
Yeah,
absolutely.
At the National. So Johnny, we can go down there, do a book signing.
We were talking about this before the show, Zap, and I mentioned it to you, Joe. And first of all, you may have the oldest show, but with Zap, we have the oldest host in the country. So, that's good.
A perfect compliment.
Also, I have to say, I have kind of a busy photo background. Zap has our logo there. Joe has one photo of Michael Jack Schmidt behind him, and that's perfectly enough when it's Mike Schmidt. I love that. I absolutely love it. But, I was talking to Joe about, it was my first time at the Philly show last September, and maybe it was because we were all kind of coming out of and still in a little bit of COVID, but I've been to a lot of shows. The vibe at that show
was cool, very cool,
unbelievable. I mean, the enthusiasm of the participants, people involved, yourself, and you're running around crazy there. I'm guessing you're hoping that continues. Can you just talk about that? It just seemed like everyone was just so thrilled to be back out, and the dealers, I think, were so thrilled to be out there, and the vendors having face-to-face contact with the audience.
We got about a minute and a half, Joe.
Yeah, we've really tried to grow the show organically. Really concentrated on picking up customers every which way possible. Our vendors have been tremendously supportive in reaching out through their social media and connecting people and letting them know where they're going to be. And we've just seen such steady growth with the show, both brand new collectors, collectors coming back into the hobby, guys that have like I said, collected for decades and maybe left for a little while. So we're excited about continual growth with our attendance. I mean, it's been trajecting up since COVID, and obviously there was everybody was looking to get out of the house, so there were shows popping up all over the country. Awesome. And people were, but it sort of was the perfect storm too, with the hobby. And the hobby, I don't think, has ever been more exciting, with NFTs and all different ways to, come into the hobby, sports related. I mean, sports is a dominant collectability, collecting, but sports seems to find a way to lead the way with collecting. So I think our show is going to just continue to grow. I'm excited about things, for the future for us, which we'll be unveiling as 2022 goes forward. So,
and quickly, Joe, the CSA show.
Yeah, CSA will be followed up April 1, 2, 3. We just announced our guest lineup there. We also have some exciting things I'm happy to come back on to announce. We've converted that show from a traditional 8-foot table style show to a booth style, like the national, like the Philly show, where
Very
it's
cool.
10 by 10, 10 by 15, 10 by 20 booths. So, we've got a lot of good things going on in Chantilly as well.
For more information, people can go to.
We're going to go to phillyshow.com for this weekend, www.phillyshow.com. And then for CSA, it's www.csashows.com.
All right, sir. We love you, and we'll talk to you down the road.
Yep. Same to you guys. Much love to you guys. Stay safe, and don't get too much sunshine there, kiddo.
And we will see. We're going to see. We'll see you in Philly.
You got it. Take
care. Sorry, Jim. You know something? Drelich is a good guy. Good guy.
I got it. And boy, does he work hard at those shows.
Works his butt off.
I was getting tired watching him running around, directing traffic. And there was a lot of traffic to direct last September. But these shows, both those shows are excellent. Great takes for the collector.
And you know what's interesting? He actually said something nice about John Taube. Where's John? Is John here? How are you, John?
I'm here. Hello.
Drelich was actually paying you compliments, if you can believe it.
Now what? Well, come on, share.
No, he thinks Joe thinks you're the consummate professional in this hobby, and you really are, John. You're the kind of the go-to guy. You, how do I say this without giving you a big head? People really, really respect you right across the board, pretty much. So, congratulations, you've done a great job.
Why'd you say pretty much?
We appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, really? All right, listen. Right out of the gate, we've got a lot to talk about, but there's a big announcement regarding, obviously our viewers, listeners know that you are the go-to guy for PSA when it comes to authenticating bats and gloves and a few other things. Tell us about the Pinnacle program.
Well, Pinnacle is, it's an exciting new grading level that PSA, that we've created. And what we're doing is we're going to recognize the elite pieces of game-used memorabilia in the bat area of the hobby. Years ago, when we started grading, we started with a GU10 top grade, which specified that you needed written documentation, first-party provenance to achieve that grade. But as we got into the grading, program, as time went on, we realized that there were so many bats that stand on their own merit, as perfect game-used examples of the players due to the amount of use, the condition of the bat, and the visible player characteristics. You didn't need documentation to have a 10. So we dropped that requirement at that point in time. So what we've done now, advance 15 to 18 years later, and we're looking at we're putting that stipulation, if you will, back onto the Pinnacle level. So the Pinnacle bat, and if you have a minute,
sure,
I just
of course,
happen to have one.
I'm sure you do.
This is a professional right here.
Now you can see what I'm talking about. This is a Willie Mays gamer, which is perfect in every respect. Mays put a heavy pine tar application on the bats in the late 60s, early 70s. It's got his number on the knob in his own hand. Okay.
Yeah. Look at that.
It's got tremendous use. Okay, so this would be a bat that if it came into my office, that's going to be a PSA 10 all day long.
So,
Now,
John,
this,
can we measure the pine tar on that? Because that might be illegal. Remember the George Brett thing? That was.
well, that's definitely higher than what is allowed.
It is. It is.
Yeah. And this is this is what all collectors look for.
Absolutely, man. That is a keeper.
Do you know what? You know what's amazing about that, John and Zap, is like, and as a baseball fan, like you're holding a bat that like the Willie Mays used. I know it sounds simple, but isn't that like the essence of it? It's like, man, you can have a piece of like something that guy used in a game, and he put that pine tar on.
His DNA is on the bat.
Like, right.
Well,
I mean, it's just amazing, you know?
As we're talking now, okay, and you're saying this is a bat that he used in a game, his DNA is on this. Now we go to the pinnacle level. This is GU10.
Okay.
And now we take this bat to the pinnacle level with a photo match.
Oh, wow.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Here's Mays at the plate with the bat.
Wow.
Wow. Look at that, huh?
June 22nd and 23rd. And here's another shot of Mays with the bat.
Unbelievable.
Okay. So this is what elevates this bat from a GU10 level to the elite level.
So, John,
pinnacle.
Off the top of your head, which I know you know to the penny, what is the value of that bat? May I ask? If you had to put a price on it?
Well, put it this way. I know the owner. He's a good friend of mine. And I can tell you that he has turned down more than six figures for the bat.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
So this is one of those scenarios. And now when you add the pinnacle level to this piece, we're probably, I would venture to say we could be, in the mid, 150 to maybe $200,000.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So it
Incredible
seems to me,
stuff.
John, that when just by this, whether it's the pinnacle program or whether it's just how you value bats anyway, the closer you can link the bat personally to the player adds into the value and maybe the desire for it from collectors. Yes.
That's correct.
Okay.
And that's what everybody wants. The more provenance, the more use characteristics, the more documentation that these bats have is really what separates the elite, the upper crust. And believe me, don't detract. The pinnacle level is not meant to detract at all from the GU10. Okay, because the GU10s are what collectors consider to be perfect examples.
Amazing.
Of a game used player bat.
We are chatting with John Taube, JT Sports. We're going to take a little break. When we come back, we've got a whole bunch of bat questions for you, John. A whole bunch of bat questions. Hang in there. We'll be right back.
Since 1996, Brian Drent and the staff at Denver's Mile High Card Company have led the charge in the collectibles hobby. Mile High is a full-service dealer specializing in buying and selling cards and offers a competitive consignment program for all collectors. Whether it be their computerized want list service, appraisals, or auction services, Mile High has it all. If you've been searching for a company with a selection of high-grade vintage 1888 to 1970 baseball cards and memorabilia that shares your passion, aim high, Mile High. Go to milehighcardco.com or call 303-840-2784 for more information.
For more than 30 years, Robert Edward Auctions has been the industry leader when it comes to helping you realize the most money for your baseball cards and sports memorabilia. In addition to their unparalleled reputation for honesty and integrity, they reach the largest number of bidders in the business and offer lower seller's fees, as well as generous cash advances up front on your valuable material. Contact them today at 908-226-9900. That's 908-226-9900 or at robertedwardauction.com.
Hi, this is Dan from Memory Lane Auction and Collectibles Company. If you're looking to maximize your return on your sports cards and collectibles, look no further. We at Memory Lane Auction House offer you several options to achieve top dollar for your collectibles. Whether you're looking to auction or sell privately, we're the #1 choice with over 17 years in the hobby. Nobody will work harder to achieve your goals. Just call us today at 877-606-5263. That's 877-606-LANE. Or visit us on the web at www.memorylaneinc.com. Go with the best. Go with Memory Lane.
This is Brian Drent, president of Mile High Card Company. Is your sports card and memorabilia collection properly insured? For easily replaced personal property, homeowners insurance is all most people need. But for prized possessions that you may have spent a lifetime collecting, it doesn't go nearly far enough. Collectibles Insurance Services has been insuring for over 50 years. They offer a full range of protection and a $0 deductible at an affordable rate with no appraisals required. I know because they insure my collection. If you have a minute, go to collectinsure.com and learn more about insuring your personal card or memorabilia collection.
How would you like to own the bat that was used by your favorite player when he hit that towering home run or game-winning base hit? Now look no further than JT Sports, specializing in the sale and authentication of professional game-used bats. As the official authenticators of professional model game-used bats for PSA DNA, JT Sports will guarantee the authenticity of any bat purchased from them. JT Sports also buys and sells game-worn uniforms, gloves, and baseball equipment. The unique quality of the collectible is what JT Sports is all about. Give them a call at 609-487-8003 or check them out at GameUseBats.com.
Okay, we are back, and our guest is John Taube from JT Sports /PSA. JM, do you have a question for John?
I did. So, John, when we talk about most sports memorabilia, the better condition it's in, whether it's a card or photo or something, the more it's worth, the more it's maybe sought after by collectors. So with bats, if it was used more, if it's more beat up, but you can still see the name or a signature if it's on it, does that make it more valuable? Is it just the opposite with the bat?
Well, it's almost.
Or does that matter at all?
Well, it does matter. Okay, and look at the title of the collectible, game used. Used is the key word.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And use by the player, identifiable use by the player, is what really sets the value in the grade. Okay. It would almost be like, and then in the card market, just the opposite. You wouldn't be, what would a card that's been in bicycle spokes,
right?
What's that going to be worth? It's going to be worth nothing. But game use, that's what it's all about. The amount of use, the amount of pine tar. When in our world, ugly is beautiful.
Just to follow up, signed versus not signed. I mean, it would be obvious to say that with the autograph on there from the player might be worth more, but some collectors might prefer the purity of the game used bat as it was used in the game and not with a signature on it. Can you talk about that aspect a little bit?
Sure, that's correct. Many collectors prefer the bats to be just the way they came off the field. They don't want a crack repaired. They don't want a signature on the bat, just as it came off the field. And the opposite is true with other collectors, because many times when you take a game-used bat to a player at a show, they make a big fuss over it. All right, they take it, they show it to the other signers there. They get a big kick out of it. And when they sign it, it does really, in my mind, provide some sense of ownership to that piece by the named player.
Yeah. Because
there are circumstances when the players won't sign the bat because if they think that something nefarious happened, or they remember the bat and it came out of the locker room. I've been looking for that for 20 years.
So let me follow up with JM's question, Joe. So you get a 1922 gamer signed by Ty Cobb. Okay, signed it in 1922. What about that bat signed by Cobb versus a Ty Cobb gamer that he signed 30 years later? But it's still from 1922 bat signed 30 years later when he was an old man. Is there a difference in the value there?
Well, that's difficult. Okay. I would say yes. If it's a vintage signature And you have, in other words, if the player has signed that bat and dated it, okay, something to that effect, that would have more value than a bat that was signed, say, 30, 35 years later. Because generally, too, you know, and we see it all the time, the player's signature changes over time.
As they get older. As they get older.
So
Right.
you're going to have a vintage signature on a bat as opposed to something maybe 30, 40 years later. And it doesn't quite have the steadiness or the impact that the signature once had.
John, one of the things we talk about with a lot of our guests is, for me, is accessibility and variety. And, you know, if you go to your site, Game Used Bats, I mean, there's something for everyone there. I mean, obviously, you just held up a Willie Mays bat. That's a tremendous piece. But, you know, there's bats there from Jason Worth and, you know, players that maybe some fans just might like as players. And then you have the Barry Bondses and the A-Rods. There's a really cool pink Mother's Day A-Rod bat that I saw on the site that was signed by him. Can you just talk about that? You get, I mean, there's a level of worth and value and price for everyone on your site.
Well, that's what we try to do. We try to have something that suits everybody, that meets everybody's collecting needs. You know, I don't like to take anybody for granted. You know, I'm formerly in the hospitality business. Okay. Everybody's a customer. All right. We have, and, you know, the bats are the bats, and it's something that, you know, personally that I love. So, you know, Jason Worth, he can have a killer bat too, you know, just as nice as Mays when it comes to the player characteristics, the condition, etc. And, you know, we've been successful at what we've done, and we've got a great customer base, and, you know, we're going to continue to do that.
Hey, John, if I own a bat that I want to get authenticated, do I have to go through PSA to get to you to authenticate it, or can I go directly to you to get it authenticated through PSA?
You can do it both ways. PSA has a higher visibility at trade shows and card shows than we do personally. And a lot of times you'll have people come in and do a submission at the PSA booth at a given show. They send the bat into us. And also, anytime you go online and you pull up a PSA submission form for a game used bat, it will have our address here in Margate, New Jersey. And the vast majority of the material does come in direct from the collector.
Interesting.
Yep.
Jan?
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about, can you just talk about some of your favorite bats that you have there, John? Some of like the wow ones for you, or interesting ones, or ones that maybe stand out to you. I know you've seen a lot of them, but are there standouts for you?
Well, yeah, there's a neat bat in the office right now. Okay, and
Don't tell me, Phil Plantier.
No, not quite. Not quite. Sibby Sisti.
Sibby Sisti.
Oh,
Sibby Sisti. Phil Plantier. Now, we've got, you know, it's a cool bat. Maybe I can grab it here. No, it's having a little crack attended to it. But what it is, it's and this is for bat collectors, okay? This is a Paul Wainer bat, okay, ordered by Paul Wainer, who ordered an Al Simmons model.
Wow. Okay.
So I've got and Simmons was known for ordering bats that were 38 inches in length.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
So here's a Paul Wainer who ordered one of these large Simmons bats.
And he wasn't a big guy, was he?
No. So he cuts off the top of the bat, so it's a 36-inch bat.
Oh my God.
Now wait, the plot thickens.
Wow.
Okay. At some point in time, Leo DeRocher gets involved with the bat and uses it and returns it to Louisville Slugger. So it is side written Leo DeRocher. Okay, so you've got a Simmons model ordered by Wainer and used by Leo DeRocher.
Unbelievable. That's cool. Very cool.
And DeRocher bats are impossible. All right, so there's two DeRocher bats that I'm aware of that are side written And they're both just like this. It's another player model, side written by DeRocher.
Now, why are they so rare?
Some players, that's just the way it is. The bats are, you would think that there would be more, but they are just not out there.
Interesting. Let's talk about bat restoration, because we've talked about this before, and there are kind of two types of collectors, right? There are the collectors who do not want a bat touched, and then there are the other collectors that want the bat restored. What is the reasoning behind getting a bat restored? I mean, doesn't that diminish the value of the bat?
You know, within our hobby, it does not. If anything, it increases the value to a point, because we can award a higher grade for a repair to a handle crack. A complete restoration is a whole different story. Okay, because then, you know, you're really, you know, it may impact, you know, some of the use characteristics, and there are some people that insist on that. Okay, we don't recommend that, but they insist on it. But with the general repair to, say, a handle crack, so when you are showing the bat to, you know, a friend of yours, people like to pick bats up and swing them.
Yeah.
Okay, so it just gives the handles more integrity, and does not take away or impact the authenticity whatsoever.
John, can you also talk about, because a lot of people may not know this, I mean, Zapp called you the Batman, and you're the foremost authority, you know, in terms of that, but you also look at and authenticate gloves. Can you just talk about that aspect of your business and maybe how that differs in terms of the material and the thing itself, bat to glove?
Well, the hobby demanded, really, you know, that there was glove authentication. We started this several years ago, and I partner with Denny Eskin, who is the noted glove expert. Okay, Denny used to work in an advisory capacity for Rawlings, and it's just, he knows as much about gloves as I know about bats. And what we do is, you know, we accept them. They're very personal. A glove is very personal to the player, and believe it or not, it's a difficult piece to collect, because many of the glove manufacturers, especially today with these newer gloves, you see these players, and the gloves are so sharp. You've got red leather, you've got a blue web, you've got different color laces. Well, imagine at the beginning of the year when a rep walks into the locker room and has 5 or 6 different color patterns of the same model for the player to choose from.
Yeah.
Okay. Inevitably, what happens is some of these other gloves find their way into the marketplace. So from the authentication aspect, we have to determine if the given glove is actually a game glove or a backup glove or a sample that was presented to the player. So that's what we do. But, you know, we just got, you know, a few gloves in. Roberto Alomar, well used, you know, autographed and inscribed and dated. And we'll do our due diligence, as we always do. We'll look up photography.
Yep.
Then we'll check with the manufacturer. We'll come up with a manufacturing date for the glove, and you know, provide a PSA letter of authenticity.
You know, it's really funny because, you know, we have a lot of fun with Rico, and Rico's really, one thing he's adamant about, he will not part with his gloves. He's got a couple of gloves that are his babies. That's the way he looks at it. You know, he's got them in a display case. In his,
I think gloves, as much as they treasure their bats, cool. I think gloves are more personal than the bat.
Totally,
you know, I think I really do. Yeah.
Hey, we're chatting with John Taube. By the way, our giveaway this week, this book called Sluggers, The World of Baseball. It's a good book. Last week's winner didn't claim it, so we're going to give it away again, taking it out of the ugly Staten Island Joe Marino bag. We'll do that a little later. John, we got a few minutes left. is there a difference, because there are so many bat companies out now, so many. In your opinion, is there really a difference between the qualities of bats from all of these various bat companies? And do you have a favorite?
Oh,
Got to be careful here, pal.
I've got.
Hey, we asked the biting questions.
Being politically correct, all the manufacturers
Here we go.
produce a great product today. Okay, the finishing processes are great. My favorite, look, I'm a purist. What do you think my favorite is?
I can't imagine, but it's been around for a few years. Been around for a few years.
Has to be Louisville Slugger.
I was gonna say, yeah.
And the product today on the market is amazing. I remember when I was playing, I played, a little ball, probably around the same time as you did, when we went into a store to pick up a quality bat now. I think it was $4 or $5.
I was to say $5. Yeah,
right?
exactly.
$4 or $5.
$5.
Right. The material on the market today at the retail level is, and I'm talking about a wooden bat now, not aluminum, is $150 for one of these, a pro grade, wood maple bat.
Wow.
The finish also that a lot of these manufacturers have, it's incredible because you can see the ball scuff marks, but the stitch impressions that you see in the, the older H&Bs,
yeah,
Rawlings bats from the, 70s, 80s, 90s, deep stitch impressions in the wood. In these new bats, you don't see it.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay,
Hey,
it doesn't penetrate the wood.
Hey, JM, a follow-up question for John regarding bats. What about bats from obscure players? I don't know, Fred Snodgrass, T206 player, or I don't know, pick anyone. Is there a Fred Snodgrass bat out there, number one? And he wasn't a great player. He was an average player, but he played 100 years ago. Is there value with those bats?
Well, anything vintage, yes, there's going to be value, and it's going to be, commensurate with the stature of the player.
The player.
Can I come in here and just as a follow up to that, Zap?
Yeah.
Do you have people saying, and then maybe not Fred Snodgrass in particular, but do you ever have people contact you saying, "Hey, can you find me Fred Snodgrass bat, a Denny Doyle
we
bat?
Do.
Jerry Remy was my favorite player. Can you find me a player that I really like?"
Yep. Keep this in mind, though, when you're going back into the vintage era, that the Snodgrass era, if you will. Names of players on the bat themselves doesn't start coming into play until the mid-teens. Turn of this 1914, 1913, in that era, where you start seeing block letter bats.
Right.
And it doesn't really flourish until later on. So you still have blank barrel bats with no names on it. Case in point, probably the most documented Wagner bat, Hannes Wagner bat, is a blank barreled bat. Take away the documentation and the provenance behind it, and you would sell the bat in the flea market.
Wow.
Something like that.
And something, JM, you go to flea markets, you see bats like that all the time.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. No doubt.
They could have belonged to somebody that played the game. That's a very good point, John. Yep. Very good point.
Yeah.
What about a Josh Gibson bat? Are there many of those out there?
I'm aware of one.
Wow.
And that's a Spalding model that was side written and returned by the team owner. My memory, sir, doesn't serve me right now because I am older than you, Tom.
I'm not sure about that.
No, but I think it was Greenleaf, and he was. And see, that's also deceptive because it's a Spalding. Up on the barrel, it says Gibson. Okay, so his name is on there, only the last name. And the side written area has a name that doesn't relate to Gibson until you do some research and you find out that he was the general manager of the ball club, okay, as well as the team owner. So when the players needed something, they came to him and he returned it to the manufacturer to have additional bats made.
Wow.
Hey, JM, before we take a quick break, why don't you tell our good friends about the Philly show?
I will do that, Zap. I will absolutely do that.
I appreciate
East Coast,
that.
East Coast Sports Marketing and Hunt Auctions are pleased to present the Philadelphia Sports Collector Show, known as the Philly Show, from Friday, March 4th to Sunday, March 6th at the Valley Forge Casino Resort in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, where I won $174 in
Oh,
change.
Jesus, I'm not going to hear the end
Shop
of this.
over
Hold on,
200
stop.
This is an ad. We can't stop.
Stop, John. He went to the casino when you were there. He went to the casino, won $150.
$174.
Didn't tell me, and Ellen and I took him out for dinner that night. Just want you to know that, for the record.
Really?
Honest to God.
Oh,
Go ahead,
John,
Joe.
Listen, that's poor play. Poor play.
When you bring on talent like me, you must feed them. Okay.
Go ahead. Continue. I digress.
Shop over 200 of your favorite hobby dealer booths on over 55,000 square feet of sports collectibles heaven from the 1800s to present day. Major sports auction houses and third-party grading and authentication companies are on hand to assist your collecting needs. The Philly Show is family-friendly, and all kids 12 and under get in free. Autograph guests to include basketball legend Julius Dr. J. Irving, Philadelphia baseball legends like Mike Schmidt, Pete Rose, and Steve Carlton, Baseball Hall of Famer, the Wizard of Oz, Ozzie Smith, Philadelphia Eagles all-time leading rusher LaShawn McCoy, as well as Super Bowl 52 fan favorite Brandon Graham, and many, many more. For more information, go to phillyshow.com. Remember, since 1975, the Philly Show is where it all started.
All right, John, what's your website address so folks can get in touch with you?
GameUseBats.com.
GameUseBats.com. We love you. You know what you mean to us. You've been a big, you've been a treasure for the collectibles world. Everybody loves you. You're the go-to guy. Keep up the great work.
We'll try. We'll keep trying.
I stay to the break. Don't hang up on us yet. We're going to take a quick break. We come back. We're going to chat with Ryan Greene from PSA. He's got a new podcast along with our pal Steve Sloan. Hang in there. We will be right back.
If you're a discerning collector interested in owning the most important pieces in the hobby, look no further than Leland's Auctions. The original sports auction and appraisal house, Leland's was established in 1985 by legendary Pioneer founder Joshua Leland Evans. And today, President Mike Hefner carries on their tradition. From the Tom Brady card and memorabilia collection to the famed Boston Garden auction to high-end card auctions from every major sport, Leland's has always maintained the highest standards. Go to Lelands.com and get your bid in. That's Leland's, the hobby's leading sports auction house for 4 decades.
It's often been said that championships are won on the practice field, and world records come only to those willing to work harder than everybody else. Heritage Auctions is the world's largest collectibles auctioneer because we believe that becoming the best is only an invitation to the challenge of remaining the best. This requires the skills of the hobby's top experts, capable of identifying and maximizing value for our consigners. It requires the most visited website in the industry, courting a global audience of collectors over 1.5 million strong. It requires a dedicated press department that expands our global reach far beyond the entrenched hobby marketplace. It's hard work, but a simple premise. Present the finest collectibles to the largest population of potential buyers, and world records will come. We invite all listeners to put the unmatched power of Heritage Auctions to work for you. Auction evaluations are always free, and our commission-based fee structure ensures that our interests are always aligned. Highest possible price for your collectibles. There will always be new world records to chase, so let's chase them together. Visit our website at ha.com and request your no-obligation review today.
Hi, this is Dan from Memory Lane Auction and Collectibles Company. If you're looking to maximize your return on your sports cards and collectibles, look no further. We at Memory Lane Auction House offer you several options to achieve top dollar for your collectibles. Whether you're looking to auction or sell privately, we're the #1 choice with over 17 years in the hobby. Nobody will work harder to achieve your goals. Just call us today at 877-606-5263. That's 877-606-LANE. Or visit us on the web at www.memorylaneinc.com. Go with the best. Go with Memory Lane.
Pristine Auction is a family-owned and operated online auction specializing in autographed memorabilia, sports cards, coins, art, and collectibles. Since their founding in 2010, they've grown to 2 facilities in Phoenix, Arizona, totaling over 60,000 square feet. Jared Cavalier and an incredible staff of over 150 team members serve a very large customer base and enjoy every minute of it. By working with leading authentication companies, Pristine ensures all items are 100% authentic. In addition, third-party authenticators regularly travel to Pristine Auction to provide authentication services on site. Pristine Auction strives to operate its business in a way that's honoring to God, their families, and their customers. With a strong focus on speed, quality, and premier customer service, their mission is to be the leading online auction for every level of collector and fan. Pristine also works for Hope Sports and Identity Hoops International, traveling to Mexico to build houses for the less fortunate. Pristine Auction offers several online auction formats with thousands of auctions ending each day. For more information, go to pristineauction.com. That's Pristine Auction, the best in the business.
Sarah found out camping
What was that?
wasn't her thing. So she eBay forwarded her tent to Tom, who just had to get out of his house. But Tom needed road trip money, so he eBayed the crock pot he never used to Steve, who wanted to turn the heat up on date night. But Steve needed counter space, so he sold his decanter.
Thought it was a vase.
To Sarah, who'd found a new outdoor hobby.
Hints of red.
eBay. Sell something and make room for something new.
I jumped the gun. I jumped the gun because there was a pause. See that? But I want to let you know, Zap, that eBay is the place to go for all of your memorabilia, sports or non-sports cards, autographs, and much more. Whether it's a gift for that special someone or you just want to add to your collection, eBay's huge marketplace should be your first stop. And if you sell, now's the time to flip those cards and get some extra cash. I shop on eBay all the time. That's eBay, connecting buyers and sellers globally. See, when you're not in studio, Zap,
I know it's tough.
you don't see the ad.
I got to tell you. First of all, let's welcome Ryan Greene, Senior Manager for the social media and content for PSA. How are you, Ryan?
Great. Thanks for having me.
Hey Ryan.
How's it
JM, I got to make a comment again about the paneling, man. I'm not sure I like the retro paneling.
Well, here's the thing. You don't live here, and I don't care about your opinion. So I don't like your goatee or your stupid tan, okay?
Come on.
Came right into the wolf's den here.
There we go.
We're going to start running down things we don't like.
You know, Ryan, he's upset. He's upset because there's a blizzard going on there right now, and right here in southern Florida, the only thing I have to worry about are coconuts falling off the tree out my door here.
Also,
a good problem.
Turn your hat the right way. What are you catching today? What's happening there?
All right, Ryan. First of all, welcome. I know you've been on board. How long now have you been on board with PSA?
About 6 months. So
6 months.
Yeah, it feels like it's been longer. Hit the ground running, but it's been really fun. I'm a lifelong collector, so like most days this doesn't even feel like work.
What do you collect before we get into the nitty gritty? What do you collect?
Nowadays, mostly baseball and football, a little bit of modern, but a lot of, I grew up in the 90s, some, 80s, 90s stuff, football. I'm really into, late 90s, early 2000s. I'm currently collecting some early Tom Brady stuff, which is fun.
Very cool. Very cool.
So yeah, I got a lot of little projects going at all times.
Well, listen, we wanted you to come on. First of all, congratulations, you and Steve. You guys got a PSA. It's the name of the show. It's a podcast. What is the name of the show?
The show is the PSA Pod. Kept it nice and simple.
And it's on every week, half-hour show every week.
Yeah, roughly 30 to 45-ish minutes early each week. Rotates anywhere from releasing between Tuesdays and Wednesdays, depending on the schedule.
So are you and Steve going to co-host it every week?
For the time being, yeah, that's going to be the plan. We're, this is just the start of this show for us. And, we have big plans on the podcasting end here within the company as we build forward. Right now, it's an audio only, show. Eventually we want to get into some streaming options. But yeah, right now we're just kind of getting it off the ground. It's available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, pretty much everywhere. But yeah, we're starting this thing from the ground up, and it's been really fun here in the first month.
We when we switched studios from the radio station we were at to the new studio, the Studio 21 video cafe, podcast cafe. It's a great, being on all these different platforms, it just has made such a difference.
Yeah.
I can ask Alexa to play the show, and it's kind of cool. It's been fun. It's been fun. So tell us about the show. I know you guys have gone in a couple of different directions, but it's really geared for the collector. Tell us about it.
It's geared for the collector and also the PSA customer. The thinking behind this show is really sort of aligned with the thinking behind a lot of the stuff we've implemented since I came on board, and we've kind of undergone a little bit of an overhaul on the content strategy, where education and transparency are really paramount for what we want to do. We want to be transparent with our customers while also educating customers who maybe are PSA customers, want to be PSA customers, just kind of on the process of submitting your cards and the PSA experience overall. So, at the same time, we want to have some entertainment value in there too, and talk about, the current topics and how it relates within the hobby and kind of where PSA fits in within that. But overall, it's a little bit of everything, but it is, as you said, geared towards the collector. And, a couple of the unique things that we're able to bring to this show that, you can really only find here. One is, unique data coming straight from here at the PSA headquarters in Santa Ana, California, on what's being received, what's being shipped, et cetera. We share a lot of that on our social channels as is, but we kind of dive in deeper with it on the show. And also exclusive, kind of conversations with not only PSA experts, but others within the hobby. And, so far, just in the first few weeks, we've had PSA President Kevin Linane on. We had Nat Turner on this week. And it'll get even more granular than that. Our second episode, we had Gary Smith, who's our director of security here at PSA, which I had a couple people reach out to me and say how valuable that conversation was, because package tampering is a big thing right now.
Sure.
We're having a lot of customers experiencing issues getting packages safely to PSA. And he was able to come on and really give firsthand information and advice on how to best get your collectibles safely here to PSA. So that's kind of a little bit of what we want to continue to bring every week.
Ryan, I think, first of all, it's a great idea. And I think it just continues to show how you guys, and in your job in particular, you're sort of that connection as social media, digital content manager. You're kind of that connection, the communication guy between what's going on at corporate and the fan and the collector. Mm-hmm. This is just another extension of that. One thing I want to harp on is what you mentioned, is bring some entertainment value to it. The transparency, the communication, talking about the process of authentication is great. You guys are going to try to have some fun with this too, because in the end, people are doing this for fun.
Yeah. And, there's areas where we can, again, bring some kind of exclusive things that, I think really add some life to the show. We have a lot of customers at PSA who are active professional athletes who are also collectors, bringing them in on the show to talk about themselves as a collector and making it really relatable from that aspect. That's just kind of one example of some things we're going to bring into the fold here as the show continues to evolve week over week.
Now, Ryan, are you able to communicate with people that are listening? Do they email you guys? Do they? How do you communicate with people that are actually listening to answer questions, or do you do that? How does that all work?
Well, we do want to answer questions from listeners and customers every week at the end of each show. One thing we've asked people to do is to just simply start out by tweeting at us at PSA Card. Send us your questions for the podcast. Each of the last 2 episodes, we've been able to address questions that have come in from listeners on very relevant topics to a lot of our customers. So we want to be having not just, having this podcast speaking to our customers, but we want to have conversations with our customers. So things that are relevant to them, we want to discuss.
So Ryan, how's the chemistry with you and Steve? Because Zapp and I have worked together in all forms of media for the last, 15, 20 years, books, podcasts, radio shows, and we don't really get along. So I was just wondering how that chemistry is with you and Steve.
It doesn't show on your guys' end.
Hold on, Ryan. And then when you throw Rico in, it really goes crazy.
It's like
forget it, right?
It's kind of like a Walter Matthau, Jack Lemmon thing, where I can tell there's really love there at the core of it all. But
I like that you picked two dead guys. Thanks.
They made funny movies together.
They were great.
I swear that wasn't.
You kidding me? That's a compliment. You kidding me?
Oh, we know.
But no. Steve and I love doing this together. I've been here, like I said, for about 6 months, and I've worked with Steve on a daily basis so far, and it's been a fantastic experience. I love working with him. And I've obviously known of him, just being in this hobby, over the last several years, and he's been great to work with, and we really enjoy doing the show together. Because at the end of the day, this is what we want to do.
It's fun. It's a blast.
This is,
I mean, make sure, by the way, that you really clearly make Sloan understand that Zapp, Petrocelli, and Molori made him what he is today in front of a camera.
I'll make sure to remind him next. We'll remind him on the show next week.
We've had Steve has been on. I don't even know how many times. We have a blast with him. You know why? Because Steve really he understands what we're all about. Mm-hmm. So he disseminates information, but we can have some fun with him too. So that's what's great about Steve. So how can people tune in? And by the way, we really want to get you and Steve on, have kind of like one big video cast show, and have some fun with it, a free for all. And we're going to be we'll be broadcasting from the National. Up in the Burka stage, and actually we're going to be launching our new book at the PSA booth, so it's all good.
We'd love to. That'd be great.
So how can people listen in?
Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Just search the PSA pod. You'll also see us pumping episodes out on our social handles, promoting them at PSA Card on Twitter, on Instagram, and of course PSA Card on Facebook as well. So we make it very accessible to everyone each week, and we've been really pleasantly surprised with how well it's performed so far. How many people are listening.
I've listened to a couple of shows, very, very, very informative and interesting. And you guys keep it light too, which is great.
That's great.
Yeah, it's at the end of the day, that's the thing too. Steve and I are both like collectors at heart, and this hobby's meant to be fun, and I think we really try to keep that front of mind every time we do the show so far, and I don't want that to change at all.
Good for you. Hey, we wish you the best. Love working with you guys. You guys have been great, and
thank you guys.
Love them all. Love them all.
Thank you very much.
Hey, stick around. Just stick around to the end of the show. I have to talk about our good friends, the CSA shows. CSA shows proud to present the Chantilly show being held on April 1st to 3rd, held at the Dulles Expo Center in Chantilly, Virginia, just minutes from the Dulles International Airport, celebrating over 25 years at the same location. There's going to be over 300 dealer tables exhibiting on over 100,000 square feet of space. With both vintage cars and memorabilia, as well as the modern day sports treasures, you won't have to look very far for that special card, bat, ball, or autograph. Some of the greatest players to ever grace the gridiron are scheduled to appear, including NFL Hall of Famers, JM, Chris Carter, Jim Kelly, Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith, along with Super Bowl champ Tony Dorsett, and our Patriots running back Damian Harris, and many, many more. For more information, go to www.csashows.com. That's the Chantilly show where you can find all of your sports collectors' treasures. And then lastly, our giveaway. This book is about 394 years old. I don't know how the hell we got it. I think PSA gave us this book. No,
the last guy in there was Jimmy Fox.
That's right.
There's nothing
this week's winner out of the Staten Island Joe Marino cheap Hall of Fame bag $1.99. This week's winner is, and by the way, Scott Roberts won last week. Great kid. Oh, Thomas Lane, regular viewer and listener.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Thomas Lane's a good man. Thomas, you know the rules. You have 1 week, I repeat, 1 week to message us, email us, text us, call us, carrier pigeon. I don't care. We don't hear from you in a week, you're out. Fair enough?
That works.
All right.
It's a hardcore show. You call or you're done.
You know, by the way, before we end, I spoke to Petroselli today. He's been complaining about his hip. His hip is killing me. I called him up. He said, "Where are you?" I'm on the golf course.
Of course he is.
You know, he's playing in some kind of a Red Sox thing. Brian, Rico is the king of free golf. The king of free golf.
I respect that.
He's amazing.
I respect that.
Always something for the Red Sox. With that being said, JM, have a great week.
You too, buddy.
Ryan, good luck to you and Steve, and to our viewers. We love you guys all. Thank you so much for the support, and happy collecting.
Thank you, guys.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.